IMAX filmmaking, how to make your own inexpensive shoulder mount, and we'll find out how real reality TV really is. All this and more on Inside Media. Welcome to Inside Media. I'm your host, Jack Carver. Today we'll be talking to producer/director and reality TV expert Mitch Berman. Also, we'll be talking to two IMAX filmmakers. On the visual side of things, we'll be talking to James Lottie, and with big production comes big sound, and that'll be with Peter Tilley. Later on in the show, Shane will show us how to make an inexpensive camera shoulder mount that'll make it easier for you to walk around while keeping your shots smooth. Video and film editors rarely get the recognition that they deserve, as it's often their skills of timing and storytelling that will turn great footage into a masterpiece. James Lottie has been editing film for nearly 3 decades, specializing in IMAX work. His work includes Ultimate Wave Tahiti, Volcanoes of the Deep Sea, and the first 3D IMAX film in 1990, The Last Buffalo. We spoke to James Lottie about IMAX filmmaking.
The difference between IMAX editing and television or normal 35 cinema editing is the fact that the screen is so huge in IMAX. It can be up as tall as 8 stories high, and the time it takes for your brain to accept that image is much longer than it is in a 35 millimeter television. I mean, television editing is bang, 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 let's move it fast. IMAX is the frame is so huge, and generally the subject matter is so captivating that you want to leave the image on the screen a lot longer. When you're sitting in a IMAX theater, it's like sitting with the screen like this. So the time you have visually for your brain to accept all that image takes that much longer. So you can expect to keep the especially with a static shot. I mean, your eye is going like this. When I'm looking at this frame, I'm just there. Oh, okay, there it is. I see it all in a second or so. With the IMAX frame, you see this massive image. Your eye has to scan from bottom of the frame to the top, which is up to 8 stories high. Back in 1989, Stephen Lowe and I did the first 3D IMAX film called The Last Buffalo, which was shot with the original beam splitter rig. It's huge. It weighed almost 1,000 pounds. It was a brutal, brutal piece of equipment to use. The upside of that piece of equipment was when you pulled the trigger, you made sure that you had a beautiful shot. Like, the compositions were spectacular. I know that there's a movement afoot to start shooting at 60 frames, 48 frames in film, whatever. We did that in an IMAX film. IMAX actually built a camera and a projector that would record this stuff, believe it or not, at 48 frames per second. And when we saw the first tests, it was unwatchable because it was too clean. You saw stuff that you don't see as a human being because the capture rate was so fast. So people don't want to see it more than what they see normally. Otherwise it just becomes super real, uber real. And they abandoned it because people complained it was too fast. You saw things captured, imagery too quickly. Shot at 48 and played back at 48. Can you imagine, this stuff travels at 373 feet a minute. So times 2. So 600 and 740 feet a minute was flying through that projector. It sounded like a 747 taking off when you fired it up. And it's so much work. It's mind-boggling how much work it is to make a 3D film. And the cost is so prohibitive. Can you imagine? This is, okay, so this is about 300 feet of IMAX film. Generally we use a roll they're 1,000-foot rolls. So you've got 2 of these rolls going through the camera at the same time because you've got left and right eye negative. Each one of these rolls cost $1,000 US to buy. So that's $2,000 per roll. 1,000 feet of this stuff is 3 minutes of material. So 3 minutes of material going through the camera. You better know what you're doing because by the time you shoot a couple of shots, you got to reload, which takes another 20 minutes because it's 3D. You know, I've done over 25 IMAX films now, and with experience, you understand how long you have to keep stuff on the screen. YouTube and television it's changed everything. It's bang, bang, bang. Keep it moving, people get bored. It's exactly opposite when you get into that IMAX theater. You want to sit there and watch it, enjoy it, and use the time to really savor the images.
If you haven't seen an IMAX film yet, do yourself a favor and walk down to your nearest IMAX cinema. Once you sit down in front of those massive screens, you'll really start to appreciate the kind of work that goes into these majestic films. So stay tuned because next up, we'll be talking to the creator, producer, and director of one of the top shows on YTV right now on Inside Media.
Did you know that during the infamous shower scene in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the sound of actress Janet Leigh being stabbed was actually made by plunging a knife into a watermelon? Holy foley.